People think out loud.
And when you have a president without shame,
Yeah.
backed by a party without spine, amplified by a network without integrity, and by social networks that are marinated in conspiracy theories, behind whom are a lot of armed people, if you aren't frightened by this, you are not paying attention.
So what happens? So what do you do?
There's only one thing to do: vote.
How did those intersect?
Well, if you look at the major criticisms of the administration, it has been that they have downplayed the risk, that they did not take sufficient effort to fight the pandemic, and then once they were pressed with the issue, that they repeatedly misinformed the public. Those are the three public criticisms of the overall pandemic. Well, they have now replicated in miniature, as if by plan, all of those mistakes with respect to the president's specific health. And here with 30 some odd days till the election, very bad timing. But the way in which now the president, who is at the focus of every news story right now, is repeating the mistakes of the larger administration.
Well, there is a real danger to what President Trump is doing here, because he is minimizing this disease at a time when, as you heard from Dr. Hotez, this virus is surging out of control all across the country. And the danger here is that we're facing one of the most difficult winters that we might ever have. We're facing potentially thousands of deaths from COVID-19 from Americans every single day. But that trajectory doesn't have to happen. It's actually up to each of us with our individual actions to turn it around. And if we're minimizing this disease, then President Trump is not giving the American people the tools that we need in order to do our part and save lives. And I think there's also this false choice that the president and many others are putting, which is either you save the economy or you save lives. Well, that's a false choice. It's not about shutting things down or going back to life as normal and not doing anything. Actually, we can be wearing masks, practicing social distancing. That's what we need to do to save lives and save our economy.
Virus is raging.
The U.S. will probably climb past 100,000 infections per day within the next couple of weeks.
If they continue on the course we're on, there's going to be a whole lot of pain in this country.
I think it's
disgraceful. I've covered politics a really long time, and I've never witnessed anything like this. And again, as you were saying, you're not surprised, but it's still stunning and striking at so many levels. You talk about the issue of race, I totally agree with you, but it's watching a president who is unable to accept loss or potential loss, defeat. Losing is for suckers, remember that? If he can't accept it, so he has to find a way to undermine the process that has him losing. And the process that has him losing is democracy. How can you do that when you are president of the United States? Again, not surprising, but just shocking and very sad.
Asking the presiding officer to please wear a mask as he speaks, and people below him are, I can't tell you what to do, but I know that the behavior...
I don't wear a mask when I'm speaking, like most senators.
Well, most senators...
So but I don't need your instruction from...
I know you don't need my instruction, but there clearly isn't much interest in this body in public health.
This is a clip of an emergency room nurse from South Dakota. She shares the disbelief that some of her patients have about this virus, including some that are dying.
The hardest thing to watch is that people are still looking for something else, and they want a magic answer, and they don't want to believe that COVID is real. It wasn't one particular patient. It's just a culmination of so many people. And their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred. And it just made me really sad the other night. And I just can't believe that those are going to be their last thoughts and words.
I've consistently said that people that want to wear masks should wear masks, and people who don't shouldn't be shamed because they choose not to.
Pause that starts today. Oregon is implementing a 2-week freeze. Ohio will have a curfew, and Illinois' measures fall just short of a shutdown.
We need some fundamental public health measures that everyone should be adhering to, not a disjointed, one state says one thing, the other state says another thing.
Like the two Dakotas taking vastly different approaches to skyrocketing cases. In North Dakota, a governor reversing course over the weekend on masks, now mandating them. In South Dakota, a governor still choosing not to take action.
I've consistently said that people that want to wear masks should wear masks, and people who don't shouldn't be shamed because they choose not to.
That's surreality. This is reality. The votes have been counted. Some recounted by hand in Georgia's case. Recounted, okay? The 45th president of these United States is out. He can't accept it, but that's okay. Truth doesn't need you to accept it.
The current president once again abdicating leadership at a critical time. Silent about the pandemic while shouting on Twitter about the rigged election that wasn't and insisting 2020 is a long way from over.
If I'm wrong, there are specific reasons why going in a church, a synagogue, or a mosque can be problematic compared to going to, say, a liquor store, as Justice Gorsuch alluded to.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. This is not about religious freedom. This is not about civil liberties. This is about all hands on deck to save lives over the next few months till we get everybody vaccinated. I'm not a constitutional scholar. I'm a physician scientist, but I can say with firmness and clarity that human life is not cheap, and that Supreme Court ruling did just that. It devalues human lives and makes it really tough for our healthcare providers to provide the best care possible to lower mortality rates. This is not a time to resort to ideologies, or this is a time, as I say, for American pragmatism to focus on saving lives over a very defined period of time. We're not talking about perpetuity. Let's just do this for the next few months in order to keep everybody and get everyone to the other side.
A bitter back and forth today between the president and two top Republicans in Georgia over his election conspiracies. The president is pressuring Georgia Governor Brian Kemp to use his emergency powers to overrule the will of voters, which is a Biden win there. Now, Kemp says the law prohibits him from meddling and that he trusts his Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who conducted an audit of the November vote and found no fraud. Now, Raffensperger again today said that the vote won't change, and he's warning the president that he's being swindled.
Once this recount is complete, everyone in Georgia will be able to have even more confidence in the results of our elections. Despite the massive amounts of misinformation that is being spread by dishonest actors. There are those who are exploiting the emotions of many Trump supporters with fantastic claims, half-truths, misinformation, and frankly, they are misleading the president as well, apparently.
Trump's baseless claims are also putting lives at risk now. Here's Gabriel Sterling, one of Georgia's top election officials, a lifelong Republican. You've seen him on this show many times. He called out one of the president's campaign lawyers for saying a top DHS official who said there was no voter fraud should be, quote, drawn and quartered, taken out at dawn and shot.
It has all gone too far. All of it. Joe DeGenova today asked for Chris Krebs, a patriot who ran CISA, to be shot. A 20-something tech in Gwinnett County today has death threats and a noose put out saying he should be hung for treason because he was transferring a report on batches from an EMS to a county computer so he could read it. It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed.
You worked with COVID patients from the very beginning, and you took every single precaution.
Yes, I did.
And then now you believe that it came in some way that, listen, it can happen to anyone, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so, listen, I'm sure you've seen the folks out there, Sophia, now they're upset. They want their businesses open. They want their restaurants open, and so on and so forth. Obviously, we feel for those people. As someone who is working with these patients, and you are really on the front lines of this in a way that most people are not, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
What I think is this. I understand that everybody needs to survive, and I understand that financial hardship is real too, and painful. And it also ruins families. But then what I say is this. Yes, it's true. But wouldn't you want to walk away with your family alive, healthy, without nerve damage, without unable to breathe? You don't want to spend the money you have on funerals and burying your loved ones. Yes, we have to survive, but right now we're fighting a virus. We're fighting a pandemic that will kill us. We're not immune to it. And the numbers are climbing. It's so scary, you know.
Thea Burke, thank you. You're a very brave person, and keep fighting, okay?
Thank you. Can I say one last thing? I want everyone to know that we're all family. This whole world, we are family. We need to love each other and let down our differences, and we need to fight together to save our individual families. And I want to say thank you to all the frontliners and everyone in Hackensack for the love and the care that it gives to all the patients. Thank you, Don.
If you can loot businesses, burn down buildings, engage in protest, you can also go to a Christmas party. You can celebrate the holiday of Christmas, and you can do it responsibly.
Whether or not you're going to subject yourself and others to illness as a matter of fairness. It's a matter of using your brain.
It's a matter of dumbness to them. So, Ron, more than 100,000 people in this country are hospitalized with coronavirus tonight. That is a new record. It's only going to get worse. But the president is doing nothing. How can his party, actually, I don't know why I'm asking you, remain silent, because they've remained silent for the last 5 years, but go on.
Right. Well, look, the CDC head said this could be the most difficult period for public health in America, in the history of the country. It could be the most difficult period for the health of the democracy that we have seen these final weeks of the Trump presidency, where he has essentially gone AWOL with the country under siege from the virus that is ravaging communities, putting hospitals in unbearable strain, overwhelming healthcare systems and communities around the country. And he has walked away as I've often said, like a Navy captain abandoning the bridge in the middle of a battle to retreat to his stateroom to plot out his own fantasies of how he's going to get away and revenge himself. And through it all, it is astonishing that congressional Republicans have not only indulged him in these poisonous fantasies about the election, but refused to put any opprobrium on him for walking away from the country. I mean, Marco Rubio found time to tweet to complain that too many of Biden's appointments have Ivy League pedigrees, but he has not found the capacity to say a word about the president kind of abandoning the country, even as cases spike again in his home state. You don't get here in a day, Don. It was the systematic enabling of Trump all throughout his presidency by Republicans that has taken us to this extraordinary point in the health of the country and the health of the democracy.
That's how upset he was about Diaper Don. That is how he spent meaningful time during these 35 days. And he also spent time recording a 46-minute video. A video filled with what he knows to be lies about the election. And a video that he actually had the temerity to say, quote, maybe the most important speech I've ever made. The only time he actually mentioned coronavirus in those 46 minutes was to attack Democrats for encouraging their supporters to vote by mail during the pandemic. A 46-minute rant released yesterday. In 46 minutes, in those 46 minutes, up to 90 Americans died of coronavirus. He calls that the most important speech he's ever made. Now, one of the only things Trump does care about when it comes to the virus seems to be himself getting credit.
Don't let Joe Biden take credit for the vaccines. If Joe Biden, Joe Biden failed with the swine flu, H1N1, totally failed with the swine flu. Don't let him take credit for the vaccines, because the vaccines were me.
Vaccines were me. And his press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, took it further.
It's how do you businessman as president? It's the Trump vaccine.
So as more Americans are dying than ever before from this virus, and just to be really clear here, the vast majority of these deaths at this point, these record deaths, should not be happening, and they would not be happening had there been clear national leadership and rules on things like masks. So as America sets a death record, Trump is silent on anything but the election and on demanding credit for vaccines.
When I did one of these interviews with Trump, I said, what's the job of the president? And Trump said, to protect the people. And he has failed in a way that truly is unimaginable to protect the people that he's supposed to lead.
Can I say one last thing? I want everyone to know that we're all family. This whole world, we are family. We need to love each other.
A disgruntled Trump leaving office with piles of political cash may be just the catalyst they need. Nevada. This wasn't a hospital. It was the parking garage, now filled with beds and patients.